Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Pattsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/nuclear revenge, where OP tricked his cheating wife into ruining her future career and that of her affair partners. Let's begin. My petty revenge led me to a nuclear revenge victim.
This is a long one, a 2-for-1 actually. One on the petty side, and the other was me meeting a revenge victim as a result of my pettiness. I needed to go into DC for a couple hours yesterday afternoon to tie a few things up at work before leaving for vacation. I didn't leave until a bit after noon, so I was pretty hungry and decided to stop at this nice little deli and grocery store on the way for a sub. It's a small establishment, but pretty popular. The parking lot is kind of weird, the spaces are on the small side and it's very narrow. I drive a full-size truck because I have to tow heavy shit often. I spot a corner space that's going to be easy for me to get in and out of, so I go for it. I back in partially and then pull out to straighten it up, and a lady swoops in my space in a little Fiat. I put my truck in park and looked back through the window. She was on the phone. When I gave a little honk, she looked up and gave me the finger. I gave her a slow shaking head and a thumbs down. I don't know why, but that gesture seems more impactful to me. Like disappointment versus anger. I found myself another spot and started making my way to the deli. The angry lady was still engaged in her conversation and is now behind me walking to the deli. She's talking loudly on her phone about the redneck that almost wrecked her car in the parking lot, trying to gain sympathy from whomever she was speaking to, like I got him tried to assault her with my vehicle. So, as I'm in the line to take a number to be served, it clicks, I can fuck with her a little bit today. I reached up to take my number and pull the next 10, tucking them in as I turned around so angry lady didn't see them. I make my way down the line, passing out the numbers ahead of hers and mine, putting 10 people ahead of us to order and receive food, making her wait an extra 20 or so before she even got to order. Here's where it gets a little fun. My number was directly before hers, so I just waited at the counter after they called mine. As the girl walked up with the next sub, I asked if it was number 469. Angry lady's sub. It was, of course, so the deli never called her number and I bought both subs. I don't know how long she waited before she asked about her order. I do hope she wasn't an asshole to the workers though. The second part of this is what I did with the extra sub. I told a story from college a while back, and in the comments, I mentioned that I try to be a little extra now. Part of that is being kind to strangers. I work in DC, there are a ridiculous amount of homeless people here, so I pack an extra lunch a few days a week to eat with some random person. The extra sub was gonna be my lunch date with whoever I ran into that looked like they needed a meal after I parked my truck. I found my overpriced parking spot quickly and grabbed the sandwiches and a couple bottles of water before making the trek towards work. I spotted a guy sitting on a bench with a little sign asking for change. I asked him if he'd like to have lunch with me. His eyes lit up and he shook his head yes. We had a little causal conversation and he asked me why I bought him a sandwich. I told him that oddly enough, I bought it out of spite and told him how I came into ownership of said sub. He laughed, said it was fate that revenge brought him a sandwich, and proceeded to tell me the following story that led him to the life he now lives. He was a young investment banker in the late 90s making serious money. He was married and had a sex addiction. He would spend thousands of dollars on high-dollar hookers to do all kinds of weird shit to him. He eventually got himself a sugar baby and set her up with an apartment in the city. He had no interest in children, but his wife did, so he got a secret vasectomy. Thinking that he was only going to be fucking 2 people now, he liked the idea of no condoms or babies at either house. His plan was to stay at the apartment for a couple weeks to heal, while his wife thought he was in San Francisco for business. Unfortunately for him, his urologist's office called his home line to check in after a couple days. This is when his wife started to learn of all his illicit behavior. The cheating, the spending, the stealing of her future family. Over the weeks he was gone, she uncovered his secrets to her and she sat on it. He told me in the weeks and months after his vasectomy, she started wanting to go out, get drunk, experiment with drugs and group sex. He was amazed at how much he and her were in sync now. He loved their newfound lifestyle. He really loved the cocaine. So much that he had to evict his sugar baby from the $7,000 to $8,000 apartment he was spending a month on blow. He couldn't handle the expense anymore along with his habit. Luckily, his wife was still ride or die with the swinging, snorting the life they had built, so he was going to be okay, and she was going along with every fantasy, recruiting men and women to have sex with. She kept building up this fantasy of having a threesome with his boss's wife. whispering things in his ear when they were having sex, just really putting her at the forefront of his thoughts. Christmas party time rolls around and the whole staff is wasted. She keeps at him about the forbidden pussy. The boss's wife goes to the restroom and his wife follows her. After a few minutes they come out and the boss's wife waves at him. As his wife approaches, she tells him that she's down to swap and that's why she waved. Next time she goes to the restroom he should just follow her in. She kept him at her side and fluffed until she sent him gleefully trailing behind his superior's wife into the restroom. No, that is not at all what she was waving for. Wifey had said that he didn't think she had seen him all night and a wave would make him feel better. He exposed himself and said he couldn't wait to taste what her husband left in his wife. After the scream and slap, the party halted. The next day he was fired and subsequently blackballed from his industry. His cocaine habit sucked what little finances he had left after the divorce. He couldn't keep a job after his life fell apart. He's now homeless and has given blowjobs for a warm place to sleep and a meal. No, not for this meal. TLDR, he cheated. She got him addicted to blow and made him try to fuck his boss's wife, resulting in a chain reaction ultimately leaving him homeless. I don't know if this is true, but it made for a good story during lunch, and he seemed pretty sharp aside from the obvious drug addictions. I slid him a 20 for the sheer entertainment value. Hope I catch him for lunch again sometime. Talk to a homeless person when you've got a few minutes and it feels safe. They have some great stories. Pro tip, bring a heisted sandwich. I'm sure there are typos, but I don't fucking care. I'm off work for 10 days and I have a shitload of pot to smoke. Edit, karma got me for the angry lady at lunch. I walked in on my nana having sex in a hot tub last night, thinking that the sounds were someone in trouble.
This is a great story, OP. I'm just completely blown away for the second story within your story. Seriously, dude, bravo to you as a person, the story, and your revenge. Well done. And now for today's second story. My wife cheated, so I tricked her into publicly admitting to having the affair and herpes.
Okay, so I'm the coworker that encouraged him to post this. Unfortunately, your account has to be 7 days old to post here, so I gifted him an alt I made for a joke about a month ago. This story is about 12 years old. I told it to one of my coworkers yesterday and he said I should share it to Reddit. Today he again nudged me, so here we are having drinks before the 4-day weekend and my writing is complete. So first time here and hi y'all. Sorry if there are typos. I included a TLDR at the end. In college, I met the woman who I thought was my one. We dated for about 2 years and had a big-ass wedding after a 10-month engagement. Her family was pretty well-to-do in a small southern town. We were both continuing our educations and I was also working to support us. I was pursuing a master's in engineering while she was finishing her doctorate in anthropology. Over the summer, an opportunity came up for her to make some extra money, going as an aide on a religious studies trip to Jamaica. I didn't hesitate when she asked me about it. I mean, she was going to get to visit Jamaica and get paid for it. I saw no downside other than missing her being at home for 6 weeks. Little did I know at the time, but she had been fucking the professor. He had hung out with us, smoked my weed and drank my fucking beer. I considered him a friend. He arranged the trip for a couple months and it was a getaway for them to bang all over the island. I, clueless and happy, went about the weeks while she was gone taking extra shifts so I could match what she made in our account and surprise her. What a dipshit, right? One of the students from the trip actually seeked me out to clue me in. I didn't believe him until I started looking for evidence on my own. I broke down and checked her texts while she was sleeping and nothing was there. There were a few voicemails, so I decided to listen and there it was, a message from that giant asshole saying how exciting it was that I almost caught them. I opened up her laptop and hit the emails after that. It was piles and piles of shit, making fun of me for not knowing, fucking in our bed and laughing about it. There was so much and I was so heartbroken. Still too hurt to take any action. I was lost. I had no idea what to do, so I sat on it for a couple weeks and acted as normally as I could. I noticed everything now. I felt so stupid for not seeing it before. So many signs. One stuck out in particular. I noticed that our stash of homemade weed lube, if you've never tried it, I highly recommend giving it a go. It was going down even though we weren't having sex. It was obvious they were also using the fruits of my labor to get off more effectively. This really pissed me off. Like unreasonably so, Hulk fucking mad. It finally all hit me. I was a goddamn joke to these assholes, and they were using the lube I made and fucking in my bed. I didn't hurt anymore, I just wanted to make them hurt. So while she was studying at the library, I made a new batch of lube. I put enough weed in it for it to smell like normal, but I also added some poison ivy from our backyard to the mixture, and after refilling the spray bottle we used for application, I waited. A few days go by and I'm working extra so I can be out of the house more, and bam, bait taken. That night after she goes to sleep my plan goes into action. I sneak her phone away and deleted my contact, while replacing his phone number in his contact as mine. I go to bed but can't sleep because it feels like I'm 5 and tomorrow is Christmas. Dawn arrives and she's in the shower. I got a text. I'm super itchy, are you okay? Now Lord, now is my time. Look, I thought it had cleared up, but I guess I had a flare up. I'm sorry, but I've got herpes, and I guess you do now too. I heard this bitch squeak in the shower. I'm covering my mouth, damn near losing it. I went on to tell her that it was time to end things now. A new semester was about to start and I kind of have a little crush on another T. I wanted her mad. This is a woman that never got told no growing up, and never had to deal with rejection, let alone from a balding dude in his 50 seconds with herpes. When she got out of the shower, it was obvious she had been crying, but I could see the anger in her eyes. I could see how uncomfortable she was squirming at the table drinking coffee and mulling the situation over. Another little nudge is what she needed. The reply she got to her pages and pages of anger and sadness was, "Thanks for the good times, but can you keep this a secret between us? I don't want to ruin my chances with anyone else." She's flush with anger now, just seething. She gathered her keys and headed out the door without even saying goodbye. I knew where she was going. I booted up her laptop and set it to reformat, deleting her dissertation and any notes pertaining to it before following her to campus. I parked a few lots over and rushed over to his office, where I found her screaming at him for giving her herpes. There's lots of people there. Professors, aides, students, other faculty. I'm dying. He is beyond embarrassed and confused as fuck. She is ugly crying in front of her peers. I'm in heaven. I didn't even care that people were going to think I had herpes too. The fallout was apocalyptic in their department. He lost his job due to code of conduct at the university. We got divorced the following year. State law was we had to be separated for 1 full year before being granted a divorce. I got to keep most of the assets, primarily savings, not a ton, but I worked for it. She never finished her doctorate and went on to be a perpetually pregnant housewife that sells Herbalife on Facebook, and he teaches high school now. It took a few years for it all to unfold, but watching it was glorious. TLDR, wife cheated, so I made her think she had herpes and engineered a social situation for her to out her affair publicly herself.
Holy shit, this was epic. Now, I never had the misfortune of running into poison ivy, but I assume it is a very unpleasant experience, especially in such an intimate area. That was an excellent revenge, OP, truly worthy of the nuclear title. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.